What's up guys, I hope you're having a great day today. Welcome back to the channel and another quick sketching video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to render this cube using marker pens. You might recognize this cube from my perspective drawing video. If you haven't seen that, I'll leave a link down below in the description so you can check that out. So for this today, I'm going to be using these three Promarkers. I've got yellow, sunflower and amber. You can just use one. I'm going to be using three because it gives a slightly better contrast, but by all means use one. You'll just need to wait for your layers to dry in between before you add a second or third layer. So I'm going to start off using the yellow marker pen, and I'm going to assume that my light source is in the top right hand corner, meaning that the top face will be the lightest, this face here will be the darkest, and this face will be somewhere in between. So I'm going to go ahead and add this colour to the top face. I'm now going to grab my second colour, which is the sunflower, and I'm going to add another block colour to this face here. Once you've got your second face done, it's time to move on to the third and final face, this time using the darkest marker pen. So once you've added your final colour, or if you're using one pen, the final layer of that colour, then you are almost done. And just a quick trick as well for when you're using markers, you want to make sure that you are keeping that front edge wet. So that will stop you getting random lines in it. I'll show you what I mean here. Whenever I'm shading anything, this edge here, I want to keep it pretty wet. So even if I go off and add some colour elsewhere, I want to keep coming back to this edge to make sure it stays wet. If I don't, so let's say I do a bit of colour here, and then I go off and I'm doing a bit of colour over here somewhere, and then I leave it for a bit. So by the time I come back, this leading edge, will have dried out, and so when I go to add more colour to this bit, you'll see that I get this line there that I don't really want, and the same here. So when you're trying to get nice smooth shading, you really want to make sure that that front edge you keep wet. So I'm now just going to add a bit more shading to make it more 3D. So I'm going to go back to this colour, my sort of middle colour, and I'm just going to add a bit more shading along this bottom edge. Again, remembering the light source is up here, and keeping that front edge wet. And for this, I'm using those radii lines that I drew on earlier, just as a sort of guideline as to where this shading would be. And similarly with this face, I'm going to take my darker marker pen and do the same thing just at that bottom edge. Now because the light source is over here, this edge here is also going to be slightly darker, so I'm just going to add a bit of a line on that last edge there. And you can apply the same principle even on this top face to these edges where it's just beginning to curve over that face. It's not going to be quite as bright. Now all that's left to do is to add some highlights. Now the type of highlight you add depends on the material of your cube. I'm going for a matte sort of finish, and so I'm going to be using a white colour pencil. If your cube was more glossy, you would want to be using a sharper highlight like a white gel pen. And then all I'm going to do is go along these edges and just add a bit of a highlight to these surfaces. This is particularly important on this top face because it's going to be getting the most light from here. So there you go, I really hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you did enjoy the video, please feel free to drop a like down below, drop a dislike if you didn't, and if you do enjoy the content, feel free to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss anything coming up. And I will catch you in the next one.